Welcome to today's video on the Social Shambhala bus with the late Gypsy and the legendary Sophie. There's a topic that I would love to be expanding on for the next couple of videos because it is something that I'm feeling internally expanding. And it is all resonating around my personal growth, but also my willingness to want to help other people without feeling selfishly involved. So part of the journey why I left my comfort zones of being in a house and sitting in the periodium that I'd lived in for a very long time, it was a very progressive thing that I became a little bit more confident in each step that I had chosen. And by leaving the house that I was in, packing up my bags, living in a car, was all a purposeful chain of events for me that allowed me to step away from the familiarity of a home environment, comfort zone, my routines where I would religiously need to be doing yoga at a certain time. I'd need to wake up and do this, I'd have my juice, I'd have my yoga, then I'd be able to be productive for the day, and I'd use them as excuses as to why I couldn't get out of my comfort zone. I'd also use Sophie as an excuse because of her level of anxiety and whatever else. Fresh brows. And by leaving the home, leaving the comfort and the domesticated environment, I was able to see, obviously, things from a much different perspective because you enjoy things more. When you're camping, you're sort of awake all day, you're doing things, you're seeing things, you're taking in all this information, you're in the sun a lot more. You're not in a dark room, you're not, in your habitual daily routines. So that already shifts your state of awareness and state of mind within yourself about yourself. And it became very frustrating because it wasn't my routine, and I felt as though internally I wasn't feeling healthy. And I didn't look any different, and I still don't look any different. And it's fascinating that I had that internal belief or response mechanism that was how I would cope, because that's just however, for a very long time, that's how I used to cope with my life and the structural things, because I had a fear of moving, and I had a fear of the unknown and the fear of whatever. Like, I just didn't understand how I would cope in a situation that was unknown. And so obviously from an emotional perspective, that's very that's childhood. I had spent a lot of my childhood moving around, and the best way for me to feel safe and secure was actually having that home environment. I'm a Cancerian as well, but my grandma had a really cool quote on her wall, was just like, home is what you make of it. It doesn't mean that you have to, home is wherever it is. So I made a home in my car, and I actually quite liked it. I loved the tent, the camping. Sophie got used to it. Sophie loves the car now. She loves being in a tent. Just she knows now wherever I am is her home. So that's a really good thing for a dog, and that's a really good thing for me. And through synchronicities, we found this cool spot, and it's feeling like a home, but it's great that I don't have that. I know that it's not permanent, but I kind of adapt to the change as it comes. And so I knew for a while that I needed to dig deeper within in order and enable myself to let go of any understanding of what I thought I was and who I thought I was, because it wasn't a lie, but it was definitely false. It was truths that I'd made up based around false insecurities. So my sense of projecting and being confident, which is all part of me, but it was all a facade of what I was actually internally suffering with. And that's part of a lot of what depression is. A lot of people don't know that someone's depressed or whatever else because they have this face that comes over them, that's their coping mechanism, and it's their stability, their support network, and so on and so on. And then when it comes to actually making decisions that require you to be very forthright and very decisive, which is what I've struggled with, it's actually really hard because you're built on a false security because of your insecurity. So I wasn't confident. I had no home structure. I had no one to, I didn't feel as though I was supported by anybody. I didn't feel the love for myself and for others because it was all, I was just sort of surviving. Basically, it was a survival thing. So by traveling, I kicked into survival mode, and it was very, very hard for me to compromise and help other people get through their emotional standpoint and sort of see their perspective in the relationship that I had with them or whatever prior to that, because I was stable, I was in my home environment, and I was like, I'm determined, I'm decisive, this is the way it goes. But I wasn't able to see, I was very forceful, so I wasn't able to see that person's perspective. As much as I still was able to, I could not understand why it was so hard for someone to go through that, right? So I left, I went into survival mode, and I physically, mentally, emotionally just could not deal with anything other than my daily routine, as in, where I was driving to. I couldn't drive and talk at the same time. Sean and I were going through a very intense getting to know each other process, and we found a lot of things that we, disagreed on, but at the same time, a lot of things that I was not, accommodating for because of the stubbornness that I just never understood how to actually use that as communication. So by doing that, it's softened me and allowed me to actually just take a breath, and it's okay, and things will work out at the end of the day. And I used to stress about where I'd camp for the night and so on and so on. So it was frustrating as fuck because I was like, you don't understand, like, I've got to go do this. I can't be talking to you like this now. And he'd like push me and push me and push me. I was like, you're so fucking annoying. So now I'm starting to see that the world doesn't evolve around us. You are your world, yes. But in order to live harmoniously and collectively as one, we do have to accommodate for people all the time, and we have to always be considering other people's emotions. Because if we are to create the change that we want to create, you have to be there, and you have to really see life from other people's perspective, because that's the way that the change happens. You're going to connect with them on the level they need to, but you will really empathize and feel and see what it's like for them. So you will only see them from a point of view of love. You won't be judgmental. You won't feel as though the world owes you. You won't feel as though this is your path and that's the way it is, which is fine, it is. But you're always going to be interacting with other people. There's always going to be things that come up. There's always going to be obstacles, and so on and so on. So it's been a fucking brutal 2 months for me. I felt like I've lost my identity. That's what's happened. And it's great because I knew it was going to happen at some point, and I felt as though I was expecting a very dark night of the soulish kind of time where I was just gone. I wouldn't have been able to cope, and that's exactly what was happening, but it wasn't as intense as what it should have been or what I had expected. And I do believe that it's because I had the sound therapy from someone that came, to this world with a lot of trauma and a lot of depression and things like that, and I always masked it. Again, I masked it on false security. I wouldn't have been able to even make any of these changes. I would have kept going about my life feeling the lack of self-love, feeling the, inner turmoil that I had felt for so long. I had a lot of physical pain. I could not ever facilitate another person because I was just always focused on my pain. And that's fine. But I'm here to create the change and to heal and to help facilitate other people to their own healing journey and to understand themselves and what they are meant to contribute, because we know on a deeper level that we're not here just to work 9 to 5. So we all know we've got better, and we all know that we wish we could do something. The wishing is that we're knowing, but we don't know what it is. It's that resonance inside that makes you feel as though you could contribute and that you have that passion and that emotion to feel something so strongly that it makes you angry, or it makes you, you know, the whinger or whatever that you're talking about, but we're not connecting with the emotion that we have around it. So by making this video, I just want everybody to have a think about what kind of pain they're carrying. Maybe try and be tracing back as to what it is that they want the most, but what do they feel is hindering them. And usually if it's a money or something, it's a belief system you've had in your mind since your parents or your great-grandparents or whatever else, because the thought processes and the belief and the ideologies that happen to us from birth, and even, you know, at time of conception. If your parent doesn't want you and, you know, you're an unexpected child, that's going to imprint on you as the unborn fetus, because it's resonance. It's the way that everything in this world works. You're drawing to you negativity because you're a negative person. You know, you can't see the bright side of things. If you're a happy person, everything always feels happy and it doesn't hurt. And that's because of the resonance of the vibration that you're setting. So before you're even born, your parents have set that up for you already. And that's why we mostly look and follow like our parents, because that's the mindset we have. If we leave the den and we leave the parents, we usually form our own opinions and our own aspects of ourselves, and we realize that we're not like our parents anymore. And that's usually because, you know, they've had that such of an imprint on us. So sound therapy is awesome, changed my life. I will keep talking about it again. I might talk about it tomorrow. And, you know, it's my video for today. Peace and love and all the nice things. I just feel like I'm just popping around, not doing much on myself. It's more just about letting things come to me. So thanks for watching. Au revoir.